Hello, my name is Dante. Today's July 27th. I made a tape in the last few days for posting here on YouTube, and actually the agents I'm dealing with are now screwing around with the cassette recorder like, the irresponsible 3-year-olds that they are. And, this is about keeping the information from getting out. And it is also because I decided to do this differently. I was going to make one big long video, and in fact, I did this. The cassette played fine, no problem. And then I decided, well, this is too long. I need to break it up into part A, B, and C. And then, of course, once I decided this and started to redo the video, I began having problems with the cassette recorder. And that's what they're doing. I'm going to let it play here, and we see what happens this time. This is like take 5 here. Hello everyone, my name is Dante, and this is a cassette I'm making for video number 5. It picks up from video number 4, and there's a lot of information within these videos. This video and the last is about my life. It's going to be very much about my life anyhow. But there are many examples from my life which can help people dealing with this technology and with this stalking. I have several purposes in making these videos. One is to educate and inform people about this technology and the stalking. I understand both of these very well. I've been in this myself 18 years. The other purpose is for my family and the protection of my family. I am dealing with very dangerous people. I'm dealing with, I've got a worst case scenario here. I'm dealing with cheat killers who have this technology. I will be getting to this later. There's an entire story here. I'm leaving parts out from the history that I'm giving. I plan on doing this the way it happened and the way I realized this, for the most part here. That said, I'll have to cover some earlier points as well. I missed some points, and I will get to these after I do the intro here. And the other purpose is for agencies of this country. They have screwed up. They've been tricked from the beginning with cheap misdirection, and I was affected heavily in order to trick agencies of a profile I don't have so that they feel no interest to look and investigate. And so they didn't interview witnesses, and they didn't find out I'm telling the truth as a result. Cover-up looked so good they didn't want to do it. In the first email, I sent them an email about attempted murder done with this technology. When I get to the story, you'll see it's undeniable. How agencies got tricked. I'm not going to go into it right now in great depth here. But the point is, they got tricked with cheap misdirection and were convinced of a profile typically associated with mobbing, with this stalking. I call it mobbing also. And it's not my fault. It is what was done to me to get agencies to not investigate. And it had the desired effect, and agencies have been tricked. So that is the other purpose of these videos. It is to put the information out there so that people can find out on their own, including people from agencies. I am and will be preparing cassettes for agencies of this country. One more agency of this country, I try, and if they do nothing, then it gets down to me making enough money that I can hire somebody to interview my witnesses and then give the information to agencies. That said, if it gets to that kind of point, obviously I'm not going to be happy with agencies of this country. Their focus was deliberately put on stalking, and a profile I don't have, as a way of getting them to not focus on agents with this technology doing a cover-up with it. They got tricked with, I wrote to them, the first email was about agents with this technology attempting murder. And the second email was all kooky and crazy and hostile. It didn't begin to be neat. This is what I call reverse scripting. Scripting is a term that was given to me by these agents. I believe it is agent slang for doing this to people. You know, you get scripted like an actor on a stage. And I was reverse scripted. I had opposite viewpoints and emotional states forced on me. It is total mind rape. And they did it for the sake of saving their own butts. And unfortunately, agents at agencies, they didn't know, they just screwed up royally. From the beginning, they were tricked with this, and instead of looking at agents with this technology doing a cover-up with it, they got fooled by agents with this technology trying to convince them of a profile I do not have. And it worked, and they are absolutely clueless. I have a neighbor, somebody that lives in our neighborhood, a neighbor lives not far away who works for German agencies, and she has been clueless the entire time. And it is a good example of just how incompetent the agencies of this country are in regards to monitoring what is going on inside of their own country with this technology. They've never had our phones tapped. We got people working all around us that work for agencies of this country. They have no idea. It's a good example of how agencies are not taking this technology seriously enough. This stuff is far more serious than a gun. And quite frankly, this is being treated like a gun at the best. And, it's just mind-boggling. And again, I'm somebody on the inside who knows this for a fact. And I'll be honest with you, you're not going to find this information elsewhere. It's the whole point of me releasing this. People need to know about this. Back to the tape. There are people who work for this American agency, and they have no idea. There is a core group that operates with this technology, and the one person in charge, and they are absolutely filthy. Everybody else is clueless. So again, these videos are also for the protection of me and my family, and for agencies and getting them to look and listen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put here, it's kind of like a timeline and a map. And what this does, this will also help people in stalking dealing with this technology. What you're dealing with is computer programs for attacking it. And in my case, I'm dealing with somebody very heavy and extreme. So, this has been easier than usual for me figuring a lot of this out. The other end of it is I'm dealing with somebody very egotistical who has given up a lot of information as well. So what I'm going to do is put here, it's a timeline, and what you see here also, what you'll see is this involves this shows the computer programs involved. And if you think about it this way, you can also do this in your own life, which you can chart the different kinds of computer programs that are being misused on you for attacking you. And what you see here is a timeline, basically, if I can ever get it straightened out here. And this timeline shows the buildup and adding on of computer programs over the years. That's exactly what this shows. And this does not begin to include all of the computer programs, but it's my belief that this will give you an idea of how this is done. And it's simply an illustration, but it may be one that helps and makes a difference for some people. It certainly is how it works. And over the years, I have dealt with these computer programs being added onto me. And again, this is how it works. You're dealing with technology that's very incredible and hard to believe. It deals with electromagnetic energy, and you're dealing with artificial intelligence. and you are dealing with computer programs. If you are having problems and you are being affected, then this is what you are dealing with. And I see this chair idea is not going to work. But again, this is what you are dealing with. And you need to keep this in mind because it will only help you. Again, I'm screwing around here trying to straighten this out. It is damn near impossible, it looks like. But again, this is what you're dealing with. And I have tried charting this here. And apparently this is not going to work out to my satisfaction. But this, if I can get it in the screen here, should be of help. I started this off, the timeline itself, in 2002. And I'm sorry, folks. You know, I don't want to redo this video again. I've tried doing this video about 8 times. These spooks were affecting my cassette recorder. And, you know, after about 8 times, I get tired of doing it over and over and over. So here we go. This all started in 2002, and you can see the build-up and adding on of computer programs. Here is reverse scripting, what they've done to me very heavily for doing the cover-up. And at the end of it all, after you see all these computer programs being added on, and some of these, a single computer program can be done in, many different ways. That's what you see here. That's what you see here. As a point, I have about 15 different computer programs for attacking my memory. And, they branch off. It's multitasking. And, computer program, computer program, computer program. And at the end of it all, what we have here in 2012 is the word me with a question mark. The point is that me? Am I myself after all of these computer programs? Well, of course I'm not. And that's the point. And, this is how it works. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm sorry I took so long. And I'm going to let it get back to the cassette now. So, that said, I'm going to collect my thoughts. In the last video, I skipped all sorts of things. I'm going to add a few more points from these early years that are relevant. I'll collect my thoughts and then get back to them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the history again real quick and fill it out a little bit more, add some more important points and details which come up later. So in 2002, this woman, Frida, took over. And from the beginning, there was an anger computer program being used. The other thing is that I began having uncontrollable heart speed-ups. And, of course, these were unusual and notable. I still have these, by the way, and these agents are still dangerous. It's not like they've stopped being dangerous. They have pushed this at times for 30 minutes at a time of 165 to 170 heartbeats per minute. I mean, the blood was pumping so hard in my veins that my eyesight was throbbing because the blood was pushing so hard through the capillaries in my eyes that my eyesight would literally throb with each heartbeat because the blood was pushing so hard through the capillaries in my eyes, it was making my eyes move. That's how heavy it has been. And, they've been trying to kill me with this. And, with the way things are now, they could do this and get away with it. It's like they're experimenting, it's a coin toss, and they could care less. There are a lot of people, as a point, at agencies who would not even survive this experience. I'm somebody who used to bike, 30 to 40 plus miles a day in a single bike ride. And, I'm in really good shape. I still am. And finally, this problem continued, and I believe it was 2003, it may have been 2002, I went to a heart specialist. I had myself checked. I have no heart problems, and in fact, I was told I am in better shape than the average person. Go figure. What does this prove? Well, if you're an agent at an agency, it proves that it is these agents with technology, and if you need physical proof, there it is. This is documented. There's a record of this at this heart specialist, I am sure, and this can be looked up. Now, the other thing that I need to flesh out here, this one was really strange, and this was in 2002 when I was having these heavy heart problems. This woman, a friend of my girlfriend's, she got caught lying and manipulating for Frida and her officers, and it was really heavy what she was doing. And basically, she was walking all over me and my kid, and it was just really ugly and disgusting. And because my girlfriend was programmed, it was hard to open up my girlfriend to this. But I finally caught this woman, and it was undeniable. And, of course, my girlfriend was angry. Well, what happened is that we still had contact, but we were much more vigilant and kept our eyes open. And I was against this, by the way. You know, I saw that she's not a good woman. What is the point? You know, if you start having problems with people like this, why waste your time and energy with people like this? You just cut them out from your life. But she wasn't ready to do this. It was a friend of hers for, you know, her whole life. They grew up together. And so we still had contact. Well, what she began doing is she would leave her child over at our house for playing with my kid. And the grandmother, the mother of this woman, would bring this child over. And we live at the top of our building. It's 4 floors, and I noticed that this woman was really out of shape. You know, she went up 4 floors, and she's breathing hard. And, you know, I thought, well, she's out of shape. And there is an entire story here which I'm about to get into. What these agents are doing right now is making me feel lightheaded. They're also pushing in a feeling of confusion. It's very distracting and disturbing, and of course it impairs your mental abilities. They actually pointed out to me what this is. They began doing it in July of 2010, and finally on March 3rd of 2012, they pointed out to me that it is a feeling of confusion. Normally you experience something like that only for a few moments. Well, imagine if an extended feeling of that is put on you and left on you for the entire day. I was wearing this for months at one point when I was in contact with agencies. And it's a good example of what they can do with this technology. So give me a moment. I got to collect my thoughts. They are attacking me here because basically this video and the last one will open up all sorts of doors and questions with agencies. So give me a moment to collect my thoughts. Before I go on, I would like to add a note here. They have a guy sitting out on his balcony right now, and I call this guy Mr. Loud. They have him speak very, very loudly, and, you know, he speaks in English, and he has been with these people, and he has contact with them. He is associated with them. I believe he may even be with their agency, but he's a good example here. This guy is clueless about how filthy and corrupt these agents are. This guy has absolutely no idea. He's had contact with them. He's done things for him consistently. You know, he is absolutely clueless. And, you know, he, like the agencies of this country and, you know, many other people around here, has no idea of what is going on within the walls of our flat. And, you know, I'm not angry about him. I don't give a rat's ass about the guy. Quite frankly, he seems like a nice guy, and I know that if he knew what is going on, he would also be contacting German authorities. He'd be contacting, you know, authorities, period. You know, his own agency, if he is, in fact, with this agency that these corrupt agents are with. And, you know, he's with one or the other, I'm sure of it. You know, he may be with the agencies of this country, but I don't think so. And he is a really good example of how there are people involved in this, and they can be with agencies, yet they have no idea what is going on. He's also a good example of how I don't care. He does all sorts of things for these people. He's loud, blah, 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 and I just could care less about that. You know, he is clueless and he is ignorant, and the fact of the matter is he, like everybody else, would be contacting the authorities if he knew the truth about them. So I just wanted to add that point before I go on here. And that's the way you've got to be in stalking. There is a beginning and an end test. I know this in multiple ways. One, my girlfriend and parents were told this. Two, I've seen other people inside of the stalking, and I've seen them become free. Uh, so that's one, two, three is that I have figured it out, and I have narrowed it down. It gets down to about every 30 days. And, you know, I am intelligent, and I have observed this and studied this and figured it out. Again, if you're in stalking, this idea that it never ends, look, this is, you know, people don't, I'm sorry, but, you know, there are a lot of people out there that just don't know what they're talking about. Are there independent contractors and people doing it on their own and blah, blah, blah? I'm sure there are. But, you know, I am also sure that the majority of people inside of this stalking are dealing with government and are dealing with agencies. And that being the case, you are dealing with ways in which you are qualified for being in, and there are qualifiers for being out of it. And if you pay attention, this all builds up to stress tests, and the tension builds up at the end. And, you know, there are periods in between these 30 days where there are miniature tests, even big ones. And it goes up and down, and it builds up to the end. And if you pay attention, you will see this. And if you pass, basically the end is a stress test. And if you pass, you don't overreact. It's best you don't react at all. Then you go free. And I've seen this. I worked with a guy who was put in the stalking right before I was, and he was free. And the way that he became free, I began putting this all together, is that he did not react. And this is how it is done. So if you're in stalking, there is hope for you. This is what most people do not know. This right here, this piece of information needs to be passed around and circulated, and this is why you hear about people going free, and the people are wondering and speculating about why they were freed. I'll tell you why. It is because you passed the test. That is why. And you went free because of it. And that is how it works. And, you know, people all over the world inside of the stalking have not figured this out. And this piece of information needs to be circulated because obviously it will throw a monkey wrench in things. This stalking should not be going on in the first place. This stalking is about creating fascism, creating a large part of the world population that blindly follows the orders of government. And that's all about, you know, a world shock and trauma, you know, something big coming up in the future, like another 911. And, you know, 911 was just MK Ultra on a world level. That's all it was. It was MK Ultra done on a worldwide scale. And what they're doing is preparing the world population for when another one of these shocks come. And, you know, this will be about people blindly serving the government. And what they will do is they will use these people to put, you know, the other part of the population in prison camps, you name it. That's what it's all about. It is about indoctrinating, you know, one half of the population, even more than that, into blindly serving government so that people who think for themselves and have brains will be locked up when the time comes, and anybody, quote, resisting or protesting or with a controversial viewpoint, one which is contradictory to corrupt government, it is so that they are, you know, locked up and put away. That's what it's about. Obama spoke about a citizen police force. Take a good look.
Where do you think the citizen police force is going to come from? It is going to come from stalking, mobbing, street theater, whatever you want to call it. That is exactly where it's going to come from. And that is what this stalking is. It is the creation of the citizen police force. And it is all about blind respect for authority, and it is all about setting up the groundwork for a bunch of blind dingbats, like Nazi Germany before Germany began just committing all sorts of atrocities against the Jews. That's exactly what it is. It has reached that point where, the same as in Nazi Germany, where the Jews were singled out and attacked, and everybody was looking down on them and treating them like dirt. Well, that's what this gang stalking is. That's the comparison, the level, the parallel level that we are at here. And take a look at what? Take a look at terrorism. What's terrorism? Terrorism, it's not just terrorism, it is the terrorism scare. Just like what? It's just like the Red Scare. They learn from the Red Scare, they see where they screwed up, and, the terrorism scare is, in fact, the Red Scare all over. Is any of this a coincidence? Not at all. Of course not. Take a good look. They are following the same game book, the same game plans as they have before. And they've just renamed things, sugar-coated things, and now they're doing it, and they're getting away with it. Look at the Patriot Act. In my opinion, that is just a legalized form of cointelport. That's all it is. All of this is in my new book coming out. If you type in Dante Kalidas on Amazon, I talk about all of this, and I put it all together. It all fits, and it all fits for a reason. Stalking is a smaller piece of a bigger puzzle. And if you're in the stalking, you have a chance of going free every 30 days or so. And my new book that's going to be coming out is called A Logical Guide to Seeing and Understanding Corrupt Politicians by Dante Kalidas. And again, I'm not making so much of a profit off of it. And this is about helping me and my family and helping others. And again, I don't make much of a profit off of this book. And, look at my reason why. We all need to work together here. We need to get the information out, and people need to educate themselves. Now back to the tape here. If you don't, kick, yell, and scream at the end, and don't play victim the whole time, you can go free. I've seen 2 other people do it, folks. The only reason why I am not free, and this is mind-boggling for me that agencies haven't figured out that I'm being held in. I mean, take a look. They looked at my book. I sent them a copy along with other things. And, I understand how this all works, yet I haven't passed. I haven't passed because, in my case, I am being deliberately held in by the person in charge. This woman, Frida, has been holding me in the whole time. I'm off on a tangent here, and yes, I'm going to get to my girlfriend's friend's mother. I gotta think of a name for her. Hang on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call my girlfriend's friend Claire. Now, what happened was Claire's mother brought Claire's child for playing and dropped off her kid and then left. And I noticed that she was out of shape. Now, I didn't think she was on the verge of death or anything, but, she was winded by going up 4 flights of stairs. How good a shape could she have been in? And, I am very health-oriented. They've got computer programs for attacking me, getting me to practice bad habits instead of good habits, you name it. There are very, very many of these computer programs. And what they're trying to do is alter my personality, my routine, my good habits. But it's beside the point. I am a health-oriented person, and it's undeniable. Just because I've been altered by agents with technology, I do not lose my identity. I do not identify with what they are doing with technology. I stay true to me. You understand? So I'm always fighting against them in this technology. I am always trying to maintain my personality. Um, but the point is, I noticed this, and what began happening? I noticed that she brought this child over many times, and after the first time, I began noticing I would think about the health of this woman after she would bring her grandchild over, and the kids would begin to cough. And it was a really strange cough. It was almost like it was done intentionally. And it wasn't a big fit of coughing, but it was noticeable. It was like once and then 1, 2. And, this would happen every single time. And it would happen to the grandchild of this woman and my kid. And they would cough. And when would they cough? They would cough when I would think about this woman and her health. And I noticed it. This was just noticeable, and after a few times I noticed it. Again, I'm very sharp, I'm very observant, and once I noticed it, it was undeniable. I would even test this, and I would think about this woman, and sure enough, the kids would cough. And I thought, and this was in 2002, and I thought, what the hell is this? And I was thinking, okay, it's the psychic intuition of children, and it is spirit guides like angels or something, or spirit guides, and there is something involved here. And I was thinking it's a sign and maybe a warning. Well, the other thing that started happening is that I began obsessing about the health of this woman's mother. And this was very unusual for me and notable. I'm not somebody to waste my time and energy by obsessing on something. I'm usually cut and dry about things. And I decided, okay, I will, speak to her about her health and just, recommend that she does some exercise, get in shape, and then that's that. But that's not what happened. What happened is that I would think about her, and it was obsessive. And okay, I wondered about the situation with the children, and they would make this unusual coughing. It was always the same sounding. It was always done the exact same way is the other point. And I began observing the kids. I began trying to figure out if they were consciously aware that they're doing this for a reason, as I was thinking psychic intuition of children. And it began with the boy, by the way, and then my own kid. And, I was watching, and I was wondering about this. And, at this point, I began having more and more heart problems. And, I couldn't understand what the deal was with this. And the point is, these two things go together. They go together. Now, obviously, it was these agents and technology. They were using what I call an obsession computer program. I know about this because they made me obsessive and worried about getting cancer. This is, 200% opposite of how I am. I believe in mind over matter. If you don't believe in getting sick, then you will not. As a result of my belief systems, I get sick at the most maybe once a year, normally. Same thing with my kid, because I brought her up the same way. It's all about mind over matter, power of the mind, and if you don't believe in getting sick, then you will not. Most people cannot understand how hardcore this is in me. And I don't get sick as a result. I had people around me. I lived with family before. They had flu. I didn't get the flu. Everybody else is getting sick as a dog, not me. Why? Because of my belief systems. It's real simple. But, as a point in 2003, 2004, I began getting obsessive thinkings about cancer, and it was kooky, and I noticed it, and it was unusual. And let's see, this was in 2004. And it's possible 2003, but I don't believe that is correct. And the other end of it is, I remember thinking, at some point that it was this negative evil influence. And of course, there was no negative evil influence. There were no evil ghosts. There were no space aliens. And it can be that this started in 2003 and continued into 2004 after I developed this theory of evil space aliens. Evil ghosts is what I thought it was in the beginning, an evil ghost. But the point is, there's no question that this continued on, because I clearly remember thinking that it was this evil influence affecting me into being worried about this and obsessing. And I remember this quite clearly. And if you're paying attention, it was opposite of my belief systems. I believe in good health. I believe in, if you don't believe in illness, then you will not get ill. You will not become sick. And that's how it works. That's exactly how it works. And, a lot of people don't get this, and the people that don't are the ones who become sick. What do I say? That's exactly how it works. Your belief systems create an energy field around you, what many people call your aura, and your aura is as strong as your belief systems are. And your aura protects you in one way in regards to many different things. And this is how it works with good health. But the point is, this was noticeable, this obsession of cancer, my worries about it. Of course it was noticeable. And, both in terms of the obsession and the theme and content of it. And I thought it was this negative ghost. And I thought it was dangerous. It tried putting me in prison in late 2003. And go figure. I thought I was dealing with an evil, invisible influence, because I was. And this ties in with 2002, because this whole obsession thing about cancer in 2004, 2003, 2004, it was the same thing, the same feeling. It was the same computer program as they used with me in regards to this woman Claire and her mother, and me obsessing about the health of her mother. And, admittedly, there was a mystery there involving these children, and they're coughing every time I think about this woman. And, it was obvious this was observable and, notable. I was observing this. I was, what do I say? If you want to look at cause and effect, I was scientifically noting that when they would cough when I would think about her mother, and I would test this. I would say, okay, well, they're not coughing now. Now I'll start thinking about her mom. I'll see what happens. Sure enough, they would cough. And this would happen a few times if I would think about it long enough. I would start thinking about, is it a sign? And they would cough. That kind of thing. And it was undeniable. So again, this was obviously these agents and technology. And what happened? I was having these uncontrollable heart speed ups, which I eventually went to heart specialists for. I think I may not have gone until late 2002. It may have been 2003. Again, there is a record somewhere at this heart specialist. And again, an agency can look this up and find it out. It's, for people at YouTube, it's relevant. It's the history here that counts. Well, what happened was in July, early July, this woman's mother died. And as I remember it, she died in the living room at the table, and it looked like she had had a heart attack or a stroke. And you got to keep in mind that really I was dealing with Frida and her officers, and they were doing this all with technology. They had me obsessing about her health, and they had these kids coughing when I would think about this woman's health. And when I would think about, well, is it a sign? And do they know something that is going to happen to her? And that is exactly what I was starting to wonder about. And in fact, it was these agents with technology. Well, what were they doing? They were playing along and they were manipulating me. And I was thinking a evil ghost, not an evil ghost. I was thinking a possibly a positive influence like angels or spirit guides with children or psychic intuition. Really, I was dealing with agents and technology. And they were giving innuendos and in regards to this woman's health. Because my thinkings about this woman and her health were obsessive. And I kept thinking I should do this, and I should communicate something to her, and I never did. I never got the chance to. What happened was she died, and she died of a heart attack or a brain attack. A brain attack is a stroke. That's exactly what a stroke is. And what were they doing? These agents were giving innuendos about this woman's mother, and ask yourself why. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm trying to do this the way that I realized everything. And, her mom died, and it was sad. Claire's mother was a really good woman. I mean, she was just like she was just a really good woman. So then that happened. And this was in 2002. Her mom died in July of 2002. And again, I was having weird, uncontrollable heart problems and heavier than they've ever been in my life. And I had outgrown this problem, which a doctor told me I would. It was all related to, being a teenager and hormones and you name it, my body changed. He had seen this before. He knew what he was talking about. It was undeniable. He gave me a tip for how to deal with it, and his tip worked. So there's no question this guy knew what he was talking about. Now, in 2002, I was also dealing with this computer program they have for making me angry with my daughter and for traumatizing me and my daughter. This would start off on a level 4 with my energy print. And again, these are computer programs. You're literally hooked up to this technology, and they add computer programs to it for attacking. I'm going to move ahead here a little bit. So then in 2003, in the winter, something tried putting me in prison, an evil ghost. And I called my parents up. My parents are witnesses, and this will prove everything to agencies. It will prove that these agents are dangerous. It will prove to agencies that they held me in the stalking, this mobbing. It will prove to them that they've misused this technology for holding me in stalking and mobbing. And, it's real simple for catching them. And agencies are screwed up because they have not performed professionally. And that is the fault of the few individuals who have called the shots. I sure as hell don't label everybody at agencies as being so sloppy and incompetent. That said, I spoke to people at 2 different agencies, and they sounded like nice people. But they are not on the level of these corrupt agents I'm dealing with, and they've been lied to, and they have no idea where I am. With this for 20 years, I took psychology and sociology on the university level. I'm a long ways from getting my degree in psychology or sociology, but on the other hand, I've taken more classes in these than the average person from the population here. And I'm very good at psychological warfare. I'm very observant. I'm very intelligent. My IQ is beyond average here. And what do I say? I've been in this 20 years. I was good back in America, and I'm even better now. Agencies don't realize a damn thing here. They need to be looking at this as spies doing a cover-up with this technology, not somebody inside of mobbing with a, quote, stress profile related to mobbing. That is all misdirection. You're screwing up from the beginning if you're looking at me and not at agents who have attempted murder and committed murder with this technology. It's real simple. It's called misdirection. It's called the second email to agencies. It's called me and my family all put our fingers on the send button with the first email because we all know what we are experiencing. It's called, have you ever heard of people being delusional about being tortured? And, how heavily do you think this technology is being misused for me, my kid, and my girlfriend to know that we are being affected heavily in ways which are very unpleasant, and unpleasant to the point of being labeled as torture. It's real simple. If you're at an agency and I come over there and poke you with a sharp stick, do you know you're being tortured because it's obvious or because you have the government badge? There are people at agencies calling the shots who threw basic realities right out the damn window. You threw out basic realities like this because you've been tricked and manipulated. It's real simple. I've got a neighbor who works for your agencies and is more clueless than my own daughter. And why? And this person does not live far away at all. And, in the meantime, I have parents and Mother Mira, who I've been calling up for years, and she knows less than, one of them. And we're talking about a history with my parents that goes back 9 years, and a history that goes back 10 years with Mother Mira. Did you know about any of this? Did my neighbor know anything about this? Not at all. So what does it mean that my neighbor is with your agencies and many of my other neighbors are with agencies? What does it mean that you're saying, well, we've been watching you all along and, many of our people are living right next door to you? What does that mean? It means nothing at all. What does it mean that you've not had our phones tapped from the beginning? Why don't you figure that out on your own instead of asking people who have killed your citizens? Why don't you ask yourself that one and figure it out on your own? And your being able to come up with the correct answer points to reality. It points to the fact that I am telling the truth. There is a reason for that. So I'm going to pause here and recollect my thoughts. I want to add a point here. The point is, this technology has been misused so heavily on my daughter and my girlfriend that it will be obvious to agencies that I am dealing with a psychopath. And, once you realize that, the next thing you're going to realize is, this is the worst case scenario. You're talking about a psychopath with this technology. And now look at all the information I am presenting on these videos. Take a good look. What has been done to my daughter alone will be more than enough to get you to realize that there is something wrong here. There's a reason why I told people at one of these agencies that you would know inside of an hour of interviewing my family that there is something wrong with them. And, from this alone, you would begin an investigation. We're talking about very sick, extreme, heavy, and unusual behavior. And it is all related to the profile of a psychopath, and there is a reason for that. And as a point, in these early years, this is very important. I began comparing this person in charge when I was speaking to my mom. In 2004, I was comparing this person in charge, Frida, to a rapist from my hometown because there were many obvious similarities. And that guy was a psychopath. And, I didn't realize that Frida was a psychopath until later as a point. It should have been obvious, and for whatever reasons, it was not. And, also this first year, 2002, may have been 2003, she began brushing her teeth topless. In the morning, she'd go out on her balcony, make eye contact with me, and brush her teeth only in a bikini bottom, only in her underwear, while staring at me. And, finally it was communicated to me in 2011 that this was supposed to be an oral sex reference. I had no idea, go figure. But, what kind of person does this? And, she must have done this about 10 times as a point. Um, I began thinking, well, these people may live around us, and I began noting the apartments and the buildings around us, looking at balconies and their windows and stuff, seeing if there are any, telltale signs. And I noticed this one flat always had the rollers down. Here in this country, they have something that you can roll down from inside the house, inside the apartment. You can roll these rollers down. They come down in front of the windows. You can make the apartment or the house dark this way. Because in the summertime, it doesn't get dark until about 11 o'clock here. I'm very far north. And as a result, we have, summer days with very much sunlight. 5 hours of darkness. And so they have these rollers. Well, I noticed that this one flat always had the rollers down. And how normal is this that these people live there, but they never have, the rollers open to let sunlight in through the windows. And then, when I realized this, within a week, this person began making the rollers up and then having the balcony door open and showing themselves. And it was this woman, Frida. And then not so long after that, she began brushing her teeth topless. I mean, what kind of person does this? And you want to play profiling from the first time, knock yourself out. But, 10 times, forget it. It's typical of this woman, Frida, and her cheap psychological thrills. I'm going to be getting to more here. So getting back to the end of 2003, this ghost tried putting me in prison, tried putting my girlfriend in the hospital. I spoke to my parents. I have witnesses. Then in 2004, my daughter, in 2004, they began bringing up this rape framing from America, and then they began trying to stigmatize me with being a, quote, pedophile, which was all bullshit. They both are. And the point is, she decided to add to this, and of course this is very heavy and strange. What kind of sick person does this? And this was after they held me in, and deliberately inside of this stalking. They cheated, they lied, they broke the rules. There are rules for this stalking, and they broke their own agency's rules. Nobody knew about it. I knew this, and I was still angry at the citizens. I thought, this is, unbelievable. It's incredible. And I was even more sour and angry for a small time period here with the citizens, because now I was being held in stalking, and nobody even knew it. And in 2004, what happened? My kid began having problems with a ghost. And why were they doing this? Obviously, okay, let me do it this way. She began having problems with ghosts. She began coming to me and speaking to me about this. And, I was like, okay, anytime you have problems with this, tell me. And she would. And, this was happening very much. And it would quiet down for periods of time. And, well, who was it? It was obviously these agents with technology. And what were they doing? They were trying to reinforce this idea that I was dealing with an evil ghost. And my daughter described it as a bad man inside of her head. And the thing is, she was very young, and she didn't know the word evil. But I recognized that that's what she was trying to describe. So I took I asked her, about 10 to 15 different questions, which all pointed to the word evil. And that is, in fact, the word that she was trying to use. So she had an evil man that would, she could feel him in her head and his thinking. And, they were trying to reinforce this idea that it was an evil ghost. And this was all misdirection. And, this is what I thought with the last guy in charge. He did some things, a handful of times, I don't know how many, much, certainly much less than Frida and her officers. And, this last guy in charge and the agents back in America, they all kept a low profile in terms of misusing this technology. And when they did misuse it, many times it was for profiling. them trying to be sneaky and find answers about my profile so they could figure other things out and better lie and manipulate, obviously. But this woman, Frida, she began going crazy with it, and because she is very heavy and extreme, and she has no idea of boundaries, and because I'm in stalking, and because of her profile, she does not think in terms of being caught or consequences. And just the stalking alone is enough for anybody to think that way if they're in charge and they're corrupt. And in the case of Frida, it's more than that. She's a psychopath, and she's blind as a bat as a result of it. And, this was a big blind spot for her and her officers all the way up until 2010. And her officers would just follow her and go along with her because, obviously she's always been right. She's always gotten away with everything. Well, they realized that they were all screwing up in regards to me, and eventually they began making me blind as a bat. And what they do is they block my feelings. They know that I'm very logical and observant, and so in regards to manipulations, they just block my ability to think and see clearly so that I can't figure out what they're doing. They literally have computer programs for this. They do thought blocking, you name it. They can literally take a... Okay, so I've got to flip the tape here. I hope this is helping some people. Again, this is from my life, and I've learned the hard way. So back to the cassette here. And, as I was saying, they can literally take a thought. It can be a thought that you've not thought of, and I know this from experience in the hard way. It can be a thought that you've not thought of, and that thought has an energy print, and they can block it. They can keep you from realizing certain thoughts. It has an energy print, and they can take that, and with this technology, block your ability to have those thoughts. This is without question. You're talking to somebody who experiences this all of the time. It has been used very heavily now for the last few years for doing a cover-up. They keep me blind, and they got this idea because I pointed out to Frida, you're blind as a bat because you're a psychopath. And they realize, well, this has to do with feeling and empathy, and I'm somebody who is not normal on this point. And they began blocking my ability to feel and my ability to see things. And this is why, and this is where they got the idea from. So, but getting back to my child, she began saying there's an evil ghost. She began coming to me, and this went on very much, and this was to convince me that that was the situation. Then in 2005, I began having, quote, sleep problems, and again, this was noticeable. Something began invading my dream states, and again, I thought it was this evil ghost. And that was the beginning of sleep problems in terms of dreams. And I was now dealing with an evil ghost, and this evil ghost was holding me in the stalking. I would become totally opposite on the last day of stalking. I would get angry over stuff that's never made me angry in my life and never will or would normally. And, obviously it was this evil ghost, and what was happening is these agents were doing what I call reverse scripting. They were making me instantly opposite with the push of a button for holding me in stalking. And, I was dealing with corrupt agents, and I was dealing with the evil ghost that was attacking me and my child. This was very uncomfortable and unpleasant for my child. And it reached a point that she began calling this bad feelings. And we also got a book called Decline of Matsu. And this is a children's book, and it is about a cow with wings that flies around, and when it lands near you or comes near you, you become very tight and aggressive and unpleasant. And this became our way of identifying this and trying to make it seem more harmless and, to take the focus off of this ghost. And I don't remember what year we got this book, but we had found this book before, and this is what we were using. Eventually, we got the book, and, this has been read to my child many times, and this is why. And it's all sick and sadistic behavior here. And my daughter eventually began calling this bad feelings. And the bad feelings meant this bad man in her head. And again, I had this theory that this ghost would step into me and then act out through me for holding me in this stalking. And it was the same way with my child. It's kind of like it would enter her energy field and she could sense it and, feel him and his thinkings. And of course, it was agents with this technology. The other thing was, they were doing this with computer programs. These are what I call techno events, scripted events. They plan it out ahead of time. They make these computer programs, and then they choose when, and they do it. And they can set these computer programs up so that they are thought reactive. In other words, they can set this up as a booby trap and leave it on, the whole day for a month, a week, a year, years, what have you. And it's set up as a booby trap, and it will only react to particular thoughts. And, that way it happens by chance and coincidence, and it seems even more real and believable. But the point is, this is what they were doing to my child. And in 2005, they were also still trying to brand me a rapist and pedophile. And I said, that's it, that's enough. And I said, I'm getting to the bottom of all of this. And I began my autobiography, and I began putting together my file, my agency file from America. And it was communicated to me in the last few years that, this woman, Frida, wanted to compare things and check to see if, everything was stated accurately in my file from America. But what she wasn't expecting was that I would put it all together. And, that's what I did. Like a detective, I put everything together all the way down to small bits and pieces. And, that all began in 2005 and 2006. And this was simply my autobiography. Then I put this off for 2 years. And it's my belief I was affected by these agents and technology, because normally from this I would have started my book. And instead I stopped. I was like, well, nobody's going to want to read my autobiography here. And I stopped. And normally I would have found a way of doing this. Instead, I put it off for 2 years, and then in February of 2008, I thought, well, I can do both. I can write a book about certain subjects and include my, part of my autobiography, my history. And, I could have figured that all out in 2006, and it's very unusual that I did not. And I'm going to stop now. So that is part A, and I will do the other pieces at another time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and I will do videos which are strictly about informing people about this technology and stalking. I will get to doing videos which are just about stalking and technology later. I feel that it's important to give some background information, and again, I have multiple reasons for doing it this way. Thank you for your time, and thank you.